This video is proudly brought to you by the Wildlife Diversity Program at the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department.
Think about where many of you are sitting today. Most likely in a Texas city, but in a more ancient time, really, not even 200 years ago. What would the areas around Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio have looked like? The answer is prairies. Specifically, tall grass prairies mixed with the occasional wooded areas. Dallas-Fort Worth, Austin, and San Antonio sit in what is known as the Blackland Prairie. The primary band of the Blackland Prairie stretches from the Red River south to the east side of San Antonio. A second small set of prairies is found east of Austin and San Antonio. Historically, the combined area of the Blackland Prairie in Texas was close to 12.5 million acres. It is estimated there is maybe 5,000 acres of Blackland Prairie left over the entire state, making it the most endangered ecoregion in Texas. Houston lies in the Gulf Coast Prairie. The Texas Coastal Prairie ran from the Sabine River all the way down to present-day Corpus Christi and covered an estimated 6.5 million acres. Today, there are about 6,500 acres, or 1/10 of 1% of what we used to have. Both prairie regions were driven and shaped by patterns of drought, periodic fire, and grazing by animals like bison and grasshoppers. An increased number of people moved into the area, and the bison herds were eliminated and the fires were put out. The soils were rich for farming assorted crops like cotton, corn, and rice. Lack of fire allowed woody species to expand greatly. Large areas were heavily overgrazed. Pastures were replanted with non-native grasses like Bermuda. Then, in the 1950s, we started seeing a shift of people moving into the cities in these regions. Residential development can lead to more fragmentation and less total area and brings more non-native species like Johnson grass and Chinese tallow trees into the area. All these challenges have led to the Blackland and coastal prairie areas being listed as high priority areas in the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department's Texas Conservation Action Plan. So what benefits are there to Texans to having these tall grass prairies in our cities? First, they provide habitat for a wide variety of wildlife species, including migratory birds and pollinators, like our native bees. Over 600 assorted species of plants, animals, and insects have been recorded in the White Rock Prairie in Dallas. Birds dependent on grassland areas have been some of the hardest hit populations, like the bobwhite quail and the Atwater's prairie chicken. Prairies can really help cut down on stormwater and help reduce flooding. Tall grasses have really deep roots, often more than 10 feet deep, that help the water get down into the soil. Prairies also help with water quality by absorbing many chemicals and reducing the amount of sediment getting into the water. Prairies are really good air filters. They absorb a lot of carbon and help reduce dust. Prairies are very popular with bird watchers due to the sheer number of birds often attracted to them. Natural open spaces, like prairies, are calming and have been shown to be very beneficial to recovering patients. MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston has 2 prairie restoration sites that are very well used by patients. And lastly, prairies are a major part of Texas heritage. Our major Texas cities are rooted in the history of the prairie. It would be a shame if future generations don't know what a prairie is beyond just pictures. So what can you do? Educate yourself on prairies and what they do for you and how you can help them. Start small. Consider planting a wildscape area in your yard with an emphasis on native prairie species. Encourage your cities to maintain native open space on public properties with proper maintenance techniques required to sustain a prairie. Learn more about prescribed burning. It can be hard to do in the cities, but sometimes it's an option and it is our best prairie management tool available. If you have any questions about prairies in your city, how you might do a restoration of a prairie area, or want further information on how to manage prairie areas in the city, please contact your local Texas Parks and Wildlife urban wildlife biologist.